In this video, we're gonna be talking about the top 5 reasons that you should shut down your current reef tank and reboot, restart, or otherwise just set it back up again. I think you're gonna find that some of these make a lot of sense, while others might not be exactly what you expected. So without further delay, let's kick things off with first reason. If you find yourself with a tank full of corals, but wanting to add more and then having to decide what corals you wanna get rid of in favor of a new one that you've had your eye on, then doing a tank transfer to a new larger system is definitely a good reason to shut your current system down. You could also set up a new tank with all new equipment and new live rock and the whole 9 yards instead of doing a tank transfer, but either way, it is a good reason to tear down and reboot. Reason number 2 is to upgrade your tank to get larger fish species. Those of us who started out with smaller reef tanks like 50 gallons or even less often find ourselves wishing we had enough room for larger species like tangs, rabbitfish, and angels, or even just larger schools of smaller fish like chromis or anthias. If you've been craving those species but don't have enough room in your tank currently, then just like the last reason, tearing down your current tank to set up a larger one is a clear path towards that goal. There are so many amazing species out there that need larger aquariums, and we aren't always ready for that leap at the beginning, so most of us will end up upgrading eventually. And that is a perfectly good reason to tear down your current tank so that you can set everything up in a much larger glass box. Number 3, to move your tank to a new location, whether that's in your current home or even to a new home. Another good reason to tear down your tank and set it back up again is if you need to move it either somewhere in your current home, just a new spot for whatever reason, or if you're moving to a new home and you want to take your aquarium with you. Obviously, you're going to need to tear the tank down to move it, which usually means grabbing a bunch of Rubbermaid bins and brute containers so you can drain the tank down, save all the water, the sand, and the rock, and keep all the inhabitants comfy during their brief stay in said bins while you move the tank and get it all set back up, usually that same day. I personally had to do this a number of times, as I'm sure many other reefers have as well. This is actually a great time to upgrade your tank. If you wanted to do that, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone that way. Or it's also a great time to address the next reason on our list. Number 4, to redo your aquascape. Sometimes we get bored. Sometimes we realize we could have done a much better job. Whatever the reason is, another good reason to temporarily tear down your reef tank is to redo your aquascape. Just like moving a tank, you're gonna end up with a few Rubbermaid bins or brute containers to hold all your livestock and water while you fuss around with your rock work and rebuild it anew. I think most of us usually just deal with whatever aquascape we've created for our tank, and maybe we'll make a little tweak here and there, but we don't usually tear everything down to redo it. However, sometimes depending on the mistakes you've made with your aquascape, that might just be the best option for you, especially if you've made some critical mistakes that are preventing proper flow or creating huge shadows or leaving you with very few good spots for coral placement. Last but not least, the number 5 reason to tear your tank down and reboot is to beat a really bad pest, like Aptasia or coral-eating nudibranchs or flatworms or nuisance algae or fish diseases like ick. Okay, no, these truly are not good reasons to tear your tank down and restart, although I'm sure many of you watching were waiting for me to get to a point like this, but hear me out. Even if you're dealing with one of these pests or problems, even if they seem pretty dang bad, and even if you feel like you're struggling with an uphill battle, the truth is you are way better off learning how to deal with them and overcome them than just giving up and starting over. Because no matter how good your quarantine practices are with your fish and corals, or how careful you try to be, chances are you're gonna end up facing one or more of these issues again in the future. And rather than just throwing your hands up in the air when that happens and giving up on all of your hard work, if you learn how to deal with these challenges and overcome them, the next time they happen, you'll already be prepared, you'll already know what the symptoms are and how to catch them early, and you'll already know what course of action to take to deal with them before they get unmanageable. You'll also have a healthy respect for that particular issue and know that you need to take action immediately rather than put it off because you know exactly how bad it can get. In that spirit, as Ryan would say, if you're currently fighting the good fight against one of those nasty pests or problems in your reef tank, I highly recommend you check out this playlist where we go over how you can beat a lot of the most common and frustrating tank pests. Don't give up, you got this, and you'll be a better reefer for it once you make it out the other side, so check it out.